And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're taking a look at a new expansion for Sentinels of the Multiverse, Infernal Relics. Now I could just say that this adds more of the same, and that would be true. But what this adds basically is magic. Can magic make a big difference in the superhero universe? Really, what's the difference between magic and superpowers? Well, no more mutants is one example, but magic in the game allows for basically some different card combinations. Let's look at them. So here's what we have in the expansion. We have 4 new villains: the Endhead, the Gloomweaver, Akashbuta, and the Apostate. We have 2 new areas to fight in: the Tomb of Anubis and the Realm of Discard, and we have 2 new heroes. Let's take a look at these briefly. Real quick, we'll start with the Tomb of Anubis. I like this one because this area has a whole bunch of cool Egyptian stuff, which is fun, but it has mummies, and lots of mummies, especially if you get the Anubis themselves, who I think is the biggest, baddest environment card that there is, and he's immune to damage from environment cards. So these mummies are kind of a real pain in the neck, but I just think it's really fun and thematic to fight in the tomb. The Realm of Discord is not as interesting. You know, it's another one of those Realms of Discord with some portal fiends and some unique, interesting things. It's more annoying than anything else. It has different distortion cards. I think that's there for the new hero, the Argent Adept, or whatever his name is. Now this guy here is kind of a weak person initially. His power, he can activate and perform a perform text. But see, what's interesting about him is he's one of the more complicated characters. The game gives him a complication factor of 3, which is the highest for these. He's trying to get equipment cards out on the board, which let him use perform texts and company texts of harmony and melody cards. So, for example, if he gets his melody out, he can deal 1 target 1 cold damage, and then 1 target 1 fire damage. There's rhythm cards. This has a perform and an accompany. Here's another harmony card. And there's different cards that he's trying to get in play. And the deal is this: if you can pull these cards off, if you can get these ongoing harmonies and melodies and rhythms into place, and then the right instrument, you can do some really powerful stuff. He can just blow cards away off the table. Power of music, man. So he's interesting. Certainly not for new players, though. Night Mist is even more interesting, if I may say so. She's a little bit stronger, but her whole abilities involve casting spells. But most of her spells require you to turn over the text on the next spell, and then you look at the number down here in the corner. That's a 4, there's a 3, here's a 1, here's a 2. It's almost like she has a deck that has a built-in randomizer. So that's a pretty neat deal, and it allows her to cast different spells, but it does make her a little bit more of a wild card because you're never absolutely sure what she's able to do, but she can do some pretty powerful stuff. That brings us to the villains, which is my favorite part of this set because I do love villains. We have, let's start talking about Akashbuta first. Look at that. 200 hit points, baby! That's what I like about this guy. He's basically a giant evil thing you have to fight, and he keeps having all these appendages that come out, like this living rock slide, and if you kill this, it does 10 damage to him. And then here's another part. He just has all these different parts of his body that will come out, and every once in a while he nails you too. And if you do these, they do damage to him if you destroy them. So you have to go for these appendages because they will make him stronger, more powerful. But I like it. It gives me the feeling of when I watch Spidey and his Super Friends fight a giant, and they're all fighting different parts of the body. I like this guy. He's not as hard as it sounds, so that's fun. Now, a guy who is hard as all get out, at least in my opinion, is the Apostate character. This guy, he doesn't seem as powerful, but he can pull out different relics, and his relics are going to consistently do damage. And he also has really annoying little demons, and then some demons that are bigger and not so annoying. He actually fits really well with the Egyptian, the Tune of Anubis, actually. But you just have to be careful with him because he can do a whole lot of damage. He has this giant sword, Condemnation, which he starts with, and it seems like it just keeps coming back out. I want to call this guy Sephiroth because he reminds me of the character from Final Fantasy VII, but he's pretty cool. Then we have Gloomweaver. Now, Gloomweaver is ranked by the game as one of the hardest people to fight. And I think it's because he's very similar to Apostate. He also has relics, and he has zombies. Come on now, zombies are pretty cool. And he has cultists, but he can do really annoying things to people. And like whenever a zombie enters play, each villain target regains hit points, according to this card here, this pouch of bones. And so that can be a real pain in the neck. He feels, when you fight him, he feels like a guy who you're beating on and he just keeps coming back to life, which can be really frustrating. Gloomweaver. Now, one of the things is you're a superhero team and they fight big bad villains, but one of the things that's fun to fight is a bunch of villains, and that's what the N-head is all about. Because in this one, you're fighting this guy, and this one, 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 and this one. You're fighting all of them. And they all have different things, and when they all have different special abilities, and when they're killed, they also, they remain annoying after death. Now, their deck of cards isn't as bad as the other decks, I don't think. But they're still very hard to beat because you might take down 3 or 4 or 5 of them, but there's still more to come. At the same time, it's very thematic, and I like it a lot. There's not a lot much more for me to say. You either like this or not. This isn't some thing where people are like, "Oh, I didn't like the game before, but now I do." No, this adds magic. But it's just another superpower in a sense. But I do like the variety. I especially like the villains in the set, and it adds 4 more. So if you want some unique, kind of difficult villains, check this out.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.